Hello.
Hello. Sorry, we were muted.
That's all right.
Okay,
How's
fine.
everybody?
That was really interesting.
We're good. We're waiting on, I guess when Debbie gets back, we could start with 5 members and. But I do know that a few others are planning to arrive, so.
Okay. We can wait a few minutes.
So anyway, he said, it's been voided, and I said, well, it's funny that you sent me you owe $40 email, but you didn't send me, voided. Well, that may be right, because it is 6 months, so it may be, yeah, it may be.
Maybe the egg day, you know. Eggs are so expensive, we don't need that. It should be right over the equator, right? Why do you not just? I said that right.
I had a hard time driving yesterday, so it's like in my face everywhere. I'll see this that I have brought with me, which I probably won't need, is when I went out last time, it was pitch dark. It was light.
Is that a flash?
Yes, it is, and all of the lights are out.
Right, yeah.
And it's on Duke's list, but they, so anyway, I brought this, and then I realized with the time jumping forward, it probably was so light, so.
There's also a big puddle of water next to
It's always there.
one of the doors.
I know, but
Just
just,
stepping it in the dark.
and in the parking lot, it's like, excuse me.
Okay, well, it's 5:33 by clock, and we do have members and present to initiate the meeting. So Polly would like to call the meeting to order.
I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I can't see you, but we can hear you.
Okay.
There we go.
So I will start with attendance. Okay. Susan Snyder Salmon,
Here.
Polly Root Sturgeon,
Yes.
Don Hall,
Here.
Debbie Reed,
Yes.
Doug Wilson,
Here.
Devin Blankenship,
Here.
Don Maxwell,
Here.
and Duncan Campbell might be arriving in a little while. Okay. Great. Next order of business is approval of the meeting minutes from February 20th, 2023.
It looked complete to me.
Have any comments, questions, edits to make?
I move we accept as written.
What do you say, Mom?
I'll second that.
What do you say?
Come here.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes from February 20th, 2023. I'll take vote. Polly Root Sturgeon,
Yes.
Don Hall. Hi. Debbie Reed.
Yes.
Doug Wilson.
Yes.
Devin Blankenship.
Yes.
Don Maxwell.
Yes.
Susan Snyder Salmon.
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, next on our agenda is some administrative business. We have a follow-up to the Monroe County Historic Preservation Board Review membership terms. I had a conversation with Dina Delata Myers, who's from the Commissioner's Office, about membership terms for both Dons. And I guess she had another conversation that I was not aware of with one of the commissioners, who stated that they don't want to. They had a new plan to just redo people's terms so that they would line up appropriately with the ordinance. However, something with having to issue those letters and already being some of those terms being in effect, they came up with a different solution, which involves, I believe, Mr. Maxwell, you will be getting a letter. And then a year from now, when Don's term technically expires, they will put you on a year-long like extension, and then you'll get a letter, and that will fix it. So a little bit more of a roundabout way than just issuing new letters and just being done with it, but maybe there's something in their own ordinance that prohibits them from issuing letters in the middle of a term that's being served. So you'll be seeing a letter shortly, I hope, and we'll go from there.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
And then also keep us updated on when these letters arrive.
Yeah.
I was hoping it'd be like both Dons, like at the flagpole or, something like that, that we could, figure out who gets extended terms.
Okay, so that's an update for that. And then we have a follow-up to the annual property owner notice letter. I made the edits that were suggested last time and did the mail merge. Those letters are ready to go. I just need to coordinate with the previous historic preservation officer from the planning department to see the steps at how she did that. She just got back to the office this week, so I will connect with her and get those letters sent out ASAP.
Thank you, Drew.
Yes, you're welcome. I did have one follow-up question regarding that one, and it was, where does the letter go that it's like just like to the
That was
United
sent
States?
to the White House?
Yeah, it's just like the federal government. Yeah,
It
so,
would seem to me that that's Hoosier National Forest, if I
Yeah.
understand it correctly,
okay,
as opposed to the Corps of Engineers.
okay.
I'm not sure, Polly, do you know specifically on that Salt Creek Bridge? If it's the Corps that owns that property or if that falls in Hoosier National?
I'm not sure which way.
We can look on a map, maybe. I can look and see, but maybe send it to both.
Yeah,
The US Forest Service, Hoosier National here. And also to the Corps of Engineers, and I think Global may be their current address.
okay. Yeah, I'll touch base with,
And then we cover our bases by saying whoever is responsible.
right, okay.
I like that. Thank you for doing that. I just thought having the White House is where we send it.
Do you know this bridge?
It's out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Just flooded most of them.
Can't even drive.
But it's a good bridge.
Yeah. Just underwater.
All right, so next on our agenda is the discussion on the potential HP overlay district and annexation area 4. So I prepared some more exhibits for this one. To summarize, for those that weren't here last time, basically one of the county commissioners asked planning staff to investigate the possibility of establishing an HP overlay district in an area that was previously proposed for annexation. It's the annexation area 4, which encompasses a neighborhood area between the intersection of West 3rd Street and South Corey Lane, all the way to Bloomfield Road, moving north along South Corey Lane. The area, according to the commissioner, has defeated the annexation efforts from the city through remonstrance petitions. And according to the commissioner's conversation with a property owner in that area, There are several original quarry worker residences, as well as some hobby farms, and that sort of stuff. So Commissioner was floating the idea of a historic district in this area. A lot of the houses that were mentioned on the SHAR database are all contributing. So there's nothing really outstanding related, and we'll look at a map to kind of discuss some of the other resources that are over there. But if it were to receive an HP overlay, the Monroe County Historic Preservation Board would establish its jurisdiction over the area, just like any other HP overlay. If the area were to eventually be annexed for whatever reason, then the city of Bloomington's planning commission, or excuse me, preservation commission would take over jurisdiction in that case. And the Historic Preservation Board as a CLG apparently cannot operate in an incorporated area like that if it were to be annexed. So I included the email from the commissioner here that asked planning staff to investigate this. This is the proposed HP overlay area that I was given. Last time when we spoke, we talked about removing this extra neighborhood area over here because there weren't any historic resources in this area. And if we keep going down.
That's the area where there's a lot of like modular houses there on that first.
That is this section.
Okay, I thought even coming in from that Bloomfield Road side on Corey.
Well, it's off Corey and that cut. If you cut it in half and go to the left and all that, the gray, that is in fact manufactured housing.
Okay.
A lot of double wides. I went through there rather extensively. No, Patterson's over here.
Further down?
Yeah.
This is Bloomfield Road.
It is.
Yeah, I was thinking in that first row of houses, if you go from the south northward and you turn left on the red line. Even those houses just north of the red line are.
They're all small bungalows and right there is where the Moose property is, just to the
Yeah.
south of that line where the arrow is. And if you go all the way to the right, where that stack of dots is,
Yeah.
there are some amazing little
Oh, yeah.
cute, single, clearly they were built for workers. Could have been Ralph Rogers, could have been Switchyard, but they're 1950.
Yeah.
The database has those, and they're just little boxes, and they're well maintained, and most of them have no add-ons. They look almost original. They're very cute. And it looks like they're all part of the same property. But that whole area where you see nothing, those are massive sinkholes. So that whole area is replete with
Oh, right
sinkholes,
there.
that right in the center there, and then off to the side, there's, and around it, there's sinkholes everywhere. What I did find is just south where that point is on the south off Ransom Lane there. I found that there was an original City of Bloomington reservoir built before Twin Lakes.
No,
I don't know that it's inside the boundaries. If not, it was adjacent to, just
Yeah.
south of it and somewhere on Ransom Lane. I have evidence that it existed, but I don't have precision information about exactly where it was. So I went looking, well, the houses, yes, I do on that. That's from it's from one of the history books, so it's, I can't remember.
Is the red dot there the gas
But it's
station?
dated
no
before Twin Lakes.
There's no longer there.
Correct. Yep, that is the one
The gas
resource.
station that's hanging out on the west side of town.
Yes, I'm not sure where it got moved to,
I know
but
where it is.
yeah, okay.
It's down off Vernal Pike. If you go over the highway, the 17th of Vernal Pike, they go over the highway. As soon as you go down on the west side of the highway and look over to the right, there's a whole bunch of chopped up tree bits, and then it's just there on a trailer.
I thought that looked familiar and thank you. I knew you'd know.
That's.
So anyway, that whole area particular, because it butts right up to the fence line from the medical complex there. For Landmark.
Yeah.
But that one little group of houses in particular, and then the houses along Corey Lane, all are about the same time period.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that it appears to have some cuteness to it, would be my word. And it's in an unusual location, but those houses alone on the far eastern edge, I think have are really important to
Yeah.
look. The thing, I don't know if it's Polly said it or if Debbie said it at one point, or it might have been Danielle, but these are the homes of the people that built. They're not the people who financed it. And I think that it's worth taking a look at. I totally agree with the initiative to. These were modest people having modest income, but they were working. Just as important.
I want to maybe play devil's advocate a little bit here. According to the letter you gave us from Julie Thomas. Where Julie said, I have heard from a resident of annexation area 4. But I guess my devil's advocate kind of question is here. Are these people going to want to have some sort of governmental overlay? Having resisted a governmental overlay from the city of Bloomington? I know it's different sorts of things, but I just wonder.
Cities cost a lot more.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know about, I'm just wondering about the idea of going in and saying. We're going to impose certain kind of standards on you as an historic district. So, I mean, I think it's our job to try to preserve it if we can. But sort of from a political point of view, I'm thinking, is the time right to do this now? Or
Can we get their opinions on it?
yeah, that's what I'm
No one's,
Yeah.
no one from the neighborhood is here tonight or
You can let them know what we're thinking about, and they can.
to say this is something that we're interested in. And,
What if we just focus our first effort on that little stretch of houses that you were talking about, the cottages?
Or just say that we're open to, whatever the community is interested in and let.
We think your houses are worth
Preserve. Yeah.
Just one item of note, the first 5. Out of the ones, yeah, on that one, over on Annalee Lane, over on the further to the right, yeah. That's closest to IMA, those 5 on that stretch are all owned by the same property owner. For better or worse.
They're a big block,
Yeah.
but they're just the original, I mean, they're
Yeah, they.
cute as about the original bill. Couple of the ones at the north end have add-ons.
And the other thing we've done that we haven't done for a long time, that we could do, is we could hold a meeting over there. I know it's not, far off, but, we could hold a meeting somewhere like the Moose Lodge, or if there's another space that would be appropriate. As a neighborhood meeting and say, we've had a county official come to us with this proposal, and we would like to talk to you about it. There were times early, in my historic preservation board time, that we would like go to Harrodsburg and have a meeting there, things like that. So I don't know if it would be fitting for us to have a meeting that's handy for these people to walk over to on a Monday night and have a conversation about it.
Where normally, in your experience with that, where does it start? Who starts?
an
The
issue.
county commissioner, or is it this board?
Of who for designation?
Who would start to just open the discussion? Are you even interested?
Yeah, I mean, I think with this one, because it's been with annexation being such a contentious thing, it's kind of everyone's discussion. A lot of times what would happen is if, like, let's say that they were worried that they were going to be overtaken by some other force. Aside from the city, they might have come to us to say, we have all these modest, worker houses, and we'd love to preserve the neighborhood as it is a working class neighborhood, and then they would come to us. But yeah, I feel like this might be we might have to extend the invitation to them because they're not necessarily, and there's a lot of rental properties in there, so there's a lot of people live there who are not themselves. I mean, I can.
I'm just saying we should, I think, tread carefully
Yeah.
into this.
No, I mean, that's the wise thing, especially, when you look at it, one of the property owners owns 5 of the properties and also
And rents them.
the old who used to sell like, Dr. Purina stuff there. What's that building there right on?
Feed
Farm Bureau.
Feed store, yeah, thank you.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
That's what it's
the
been.
feed store that's right there is also owned by the same person, so they own that whole thing, so I don't know if they had some sort of lofty commercial aspirations.
Drew, is there an expectation that we respond to Julie?
Yeah, so the next step, I think, from planning staff would be to communicate to Julie Thomas that it's been heard by the Historic Preservation Board and that there is some interest in doing so. And that this is what they have said thus far.
I mean, if the
Very simple.
community is interested, I think
Right.
they're really important and throw it back.
Right,
And could we have that individual that she talked to come and talk to us some more, like have them
Yeah.
do the connection?
sure.
It would be better, in my opinion, if it would be initiated from the community.
Then, exactly.
Right.
Which is usually how we operate, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that one person may have,
Mhm.
no, they may have that whole group, because they really got together to fight that.
Okay.
And I'll work to find out where that original reservoir was built. I think it may be slightly south of there.
Thanks for all your work on that. Investigative
I
work.
drove through 3 times, just trying to, it's those sinkholes are massive.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
So we could build a house there and have it fall underground.
Who is it right now who owns the gas station? Like, is it property of the county or property of the city or, I mean, as far as the physical building?
I'm not sure.
I might have to ask a BRI,
Yeah.
I would imagine the BRI bought it, didn't it?
No.
No? Well, you would have known.
Yeah, we also, what could have, should have happened with Tucker Moose did not. That'll be my book to tell all. It'd be interesting to know, because at some point in time, it might be fitting for that resource to be brought back to the neighborhood. If there's an appropriate place for it.
Okay.
Yeah, what, it was moved because.
The widening of the road, yeah. So. And obviously things lose certain meaning once they're moved, but. I mean. When there are resources associated with an area, it's not the end of the world if it faces a slightly different direction or is on a slightly different road if it's a neighborhood landmark.
Motion, or you're good with the discussion?
I think we're good with just the discussion because it's an administrative item and it's just kind of a temperature check of
Yeah.
what you all think. And
Yeah, I think it'd be great for us to talk to the person who kind of spearheaded other neighborhood stuff and who. If I'm usually.
Okay. I would suspect that the neighborhood would be pretty vocal in favor or against something like this due to their recent annexation.
Their local picture.
Yeah,
Well, and I think that's also where we have the education piece of here's the ways in which the county can protect you. Through historic preservation,
right.
even sometimes against itself, the county protecting you against future county projects. Through historic preservation, so.
Okay.
Wanted to take something before we would have a meeting like this. If we have a meeting, I think a question that I would ask if I were a resident of that area is if it's designated an overlay by the county, if they get annexed, what would it mean under city jurisdiction? So I think we would need.
That's a good question.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, but I think as a group or staff, if you'd be kind enough to help, we'd have to have that information ready. Because I know I would be asking the same thing.
Right.
What happens when you sell my mortgage? What does the new person do? Yeah.
Just an honest pros and cons list for what's
Yes,
for them.
perfect.
So yeah, it would enter from the Monroe County Historic Preservation jurisdiction to Bloomington's Historic Commission. But yeah, I don't know what their. Yeah.
I'd like to know that just in general. That's something I'd like to know.
Okay.
I do know that I did speak with the Jackie, director of planning about this, and she did state that, similar to the agreement that went into effect in 1997, when planning took back over areas in the county that were of planning jurisdiction in the city, we had to honor their zoning. So unlikely what would happen is Bloomington Historic Preservation would adopt for that area exactly what we have as a protection. They would just take on that exact same role uniquely for that property.
Well, and we know that with politics and that can be a temporary order.
Have we, is there a designated name for this neighborhood or area?
District Area 4?
I don't have any names for it yet. I've not heard of any names.
Yeah, it's one of the
Victoria Lane.
old maps that have it, it's like such an addition, or, you know.
I did not find anything. I didn't find it when it was originally planted. I haven't dived totally into it, but
Somehow think they might resent being known as potential annexation zone. In perpetuity.
51. it's-
Checks left 80.
Or anything at all. And I did, I mean, everything mentions the Kevin Vet Clinic building, and it is in really bad shape. It's overgrown and just nasty looking. So I'm not sure if that's an asset.
I don't know, it has that characteristic, block curved wall.
Yes. Got the block wall, exactly.
Okay, next of our administrative business items is the CDO discussion Q&A. So last meeting, I opened the floor to any questions that the HP board might have about the CDO at its current state. Basically, it was kind of just to make sure people were on the email list if they weren't, if they had any questions this far about the process, and to also talk about the upcoming focus group discussion that we're doing. It's going to be all virtual, and it's going to be on Thursday, March 23rd at 5:30. Again, it's all virtual, and there's 3 separate focus groups. There's an environmental focus group, a construction review focus group, economic development focus group. All 3 of those meetings will be recorded. You have to unfortunately pick one of those to attend at the time. I believe I had that email go out to everyone on the board. So attend one if you'd like. It'll be just kind of like a Q&A kind of session. Planning staff members will be presenting a brief presentation for each one of those focus groups. And then, like I said, we'll field questions.
I personally have a teaching obligation that evening, so can you send out a link to the 3 recordings?
Yeah.
Andrew, did I hear you say, first of all, thank you for the email. But we make our choice that night, correct?
You can make yes, when the meetings start, they all 3 start at 5:30.
Yes.
So if you have one in mind right now, you know, you can talk to me about it, and we can discuss. What will basically happen in the next couple of days is everyone on that list will receive an updated email as a reminder that will also include the PowerPoints that we'll be presenting, so that you'll be able to review some of the things that we'll be discussing beforehand. So you can have some questions prepared, or just get an idea of which group you'd rather be in, rather than just the title of it and have to make the decision.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
I'm getting Seminary Point and like Sunset Hill that's coming up as a neighborhood classification.
For this one,
Oh, yeah, so I don't know if somewhere deeper in the archives, if they have any sort of map that would show what's what.
Sunset Hill,
I think it's Sunset Hill.
that would make sense,
Yes, that makes.
That's interesting.
because it's on a rise. I mean,
At one time, the feed store, it was Sunset Feed
Oh,
Store.
okay.
there you go,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
bingo.
years ago, many years ago.
And what was the first one?
It looked like Seminary Point.
It's kind of a high point there.
That Kroger down there, that's seminary and something.
Well, yeah, because that's, yeah, the.
Well, that's where the Concord University was.
Yeah,
Yeah, university.
So, yeah,
that's to the west.
Mhm. Mile,
Yeah.
not quite a mile, maybe about a mile.
Next to it.
Right, so next we have a bunch of old business items. I'm just keeping these on the agenda. You'll note that they don't have page numbers and I'll just briefly mention them each time. But I don't want to lose track of them, so I'm keeping them as old business. But I don't have any updates regarding them. So the first one is the construction project on High Street multi-use path. Last we left off is we'll be communicating to them that we are wanting to stay as consulting party and that they're still in their preliminary stages of developing their plan, so we don't really have anything to review for that item. The Drystone Conservancy report. Last time we discussed this. This one we talked about what the next steps were and some other items like what would happen if Rumpke sold the property, things like that. I did sit down with planning staff members to discuss those details. I basically reached out to Rumpke and asked them specifically if they were accepting the Drystone Conservancy's recommendation that was to enter into the public agreement with them to allow them to use the sites for education purposes and routine maintenance and preservation of the wall, that sort of thing. I've not heard back from the Rumpke representative.
Means they haven't decided.
I assume. But I spoke with staff about the option of doing an HP overlay on the structure itself. That is an option. It's just a little bit late in the game, unfortunately, because of how much work's already been done. And I don't know how receptive Rumpke would be to initiating a process again for something like that. From planning's perspective, essentially, we're looking for just an acceptance of the plan from the HP board at this time. Because that would satisfy the condition of approval for their conditional use. Yep. And final occupancy for that stuff. They haven't finished. I have not received any emails about them being ready for a land use certificate inspection, which means all of their landscaping is done, all the structures are done, all of that. I've not heard anything about that yet. So they're still working on a lot of things, I imagine. And of course, certificate of occupancy would be held up by the conditional use variance, which is contingent upon this board's basically good graces of that preservation plan looks good, we like it, you can proceed. That's where we're at. I was going to include the report in the packet again, but it's really long.
It's long, and it's a lot.
Very long, and a lot of you have already seen it, and it's a lot of ink. So if you want to see it again, I have a low res version of it that I can email to you. But I will reach back out to the Rumpke representative to see if they have anything for us, hopefully by the next meeting.
This is a sidebar to that. I did reach out to the Conservancy that did the report and asked for permission to use some of their photographs in the May presentation to the History Club. And they sent me a bunch of pictures and said, use away. So I thought that was a really nice response.
Continuing on, the early coordination letter regarding the structural project along State Road 46 from 446 intersection to the West Junction of State Road 135. I have not heard any new information from that project coordinator. We've communicated to them that we would like to stay as a consulting party. And then we do want to send them a follow-up letter that identifies some of those items like the bioharm And maybe a few other historic resources that might be present along that area. At least I have a draft going about some of the concerns regarding just the widening of the road in general and structures being impacted by that widening. Nothing back yet from that project coordinator. And then following that one is the Bloomington Ops Tower. Again, no response yet from that project coordinator. If you recall, this board had me send them a objection email, basically, that was objecting to the project at its location. And that is supposed to presumably trigger some sort of discussion or dialogue that will facilitate some sort of
Communication at some point.
yes, basically. So I have yet to hear back from anyone over there. So I have no updates regarding that one. And next one actually has a page number, page 11. This one is the application to install parking spaces to a newly acquired property adjacent to Lake Monroe. This was the one that I had no idea where it was. All I did get was this letter from the DNR that basically was approving of this project. And that we had been, we received this letter from them. So I reached out to the DNR and referenced this DHPA number. And they had provided me with a location, so I can pull it up.
And is that in our packet?
It is not in the packet.
Oh, okay. Glasses here.
(9275) South Strain Ridge Road. Up here on. Do that right? Yeah.
This one on
It's like 3 stories. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It shocked me.
Okay, there we go.
Quite a surprise there.
So. So here we have Lake Monroe. And. Here we have South Greenwood Lane and. South Augusta Drive, which comes around and I believe it continues on a little bit. This way. So this property is owned by DNR.
So its elevation is within the floodplain?
It is not, it is outside of the floodplain.
Okay.
I'm not sure the,
Not the core, okay.
but I don't believe that there, when I looked in the shard database, I don't think I saw anything in this area or anything like that, so.
They probably already removed
It
it.
might be for trails or some sort of other recreational purpose. these parking spaces that they.
Isn't that cleared area to the left there?
This area here?
Yeah.
This is. Property class is livestock.
So those are just fields.
Yes.
Okay. Shouldn't say just, they are farm fields.
Let's see. He also submitted a screenshot, that's pretty much this.
Is that 9727?
The address that they've provided was 9275,
9275 Stream Ridge.
yes. The DNR owned property, so.
Remind me, the parking was for public parking or for equipment parking? Or not designated?
They designated it. Install parking spaces to a newly acquired property adjacent to Lake Monroe.
So it's a newly acquired property.
Yeah, so in our newly acquired property,
Maybe over analyzing it, but by using the term parking spaces, it sounds like some kind of parking lot versus a place to park equipment. Indiscriminately for X number of days, so.
this is the property. So what I clicked on has these pictures. The date frame here, but it's owned by State Farm, so.
Well, it looks like it's right next to the point.
Sorry that this one is still exhibiting some hints of mystery, but does anyone have any comments from a historic preservation perspective?
Yeah, I don't know of any resources or anything like that that haven't already been disturbed by the largest lake in the state. And the fact that, I mean, they say that if they find anything, they'll report it.
Yes.
So, but that's not even necessarily where there would have been major, like 19th century, settlement.
Really?
It'd all be, if anything, it'd all be Native American resources. That's where somebody else would know more about that than me. Or Cheryl Munson. So. And I know some of those certain land formations or finger ridges and stuff like that, that's where there's.
Whatever might have been on the surface is long gone. That house.
All right. And then next on our agenda. Page 13 is this project we've talked about in the past, the bridge project on Rockport Road over Branch Creek, Clear Creek, excuse me. And this one, they're doing some work on a bridge along Rockport Road. That's the information here. At the last meeting, there was some discussion about some shard database structures down Bolin Lane, but there was no real no concern really about the bridge itself, but that we wanted to hear what Duncan had to say because he knows this area very well.
This is replacing your current bridge.
Yes.
That is in bad shape,
Yeah.
and the pictures show that.
You wouldn't know that it's a bridge unless you went looking for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
I know that kind, yeah.
That's just.
And it's over that feeder bridge there.
Yeah, there we go. But if you're comfortable, I can send an email saying we don't have any comments or that we come across anything in the future.
Yeah, cause there's not any like, it doesn't look like a kind of setup where there's old bridge abutments from a former bridge that was there, like very low key. Yeah, it's a very low key bridge.
So Polly, is that one where we asked just to say that, you know, we have no real comment, or how did that happen?
I remember that we didn't really have any comments from the previous meeting.
So I will, I'll forward,
The gallery has spoken.
I will forward an email message that this board has no comment.
Fix the bridge, make it safe.
Yeah. Safe infrastructure equals good.
All right, that does it for old business.
Did I miss the discussion of the ops tower?
Yes, I mentioned that we have not received anything yet.
Okay, I
yeah.
somehow missed it.
It was
Okay.
quick.
It was just that brief, yeah.
It is, yeah, we've rejected it, they've accepted the rejection or want to fight the rejection, or have even told me that they received the email, so I can send them a follow-up. But again, you know, they would have to go through the proper planning channels to establish things like that anyway, so we would be notified that they're seeking permits. Okay, so now we move on to new business, and we have a number of new business items in here, and they are all from the city of Bloomington. And they're all section 106 letters, and I received them all since the last meeting.
They're just flooding your inbox, please.
So the first one is construction of an accessible sidewalk at Adams Street. So I will say, I believe all of these are in the city's jurisdiction, so it'll basically just be looking for comment in this board. But the first one is construction of an accessible sidewalk on Adams Street, Kirkwood Avenue to Fountain Drive. There's a brief letter here talking about details of the sidewalk that they're constructing, and I think we have, yes,
So a
so
lot of tiny little houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Is that where the shotgun houses are?
Probably not somewhere.
Will this disrupt the shotgun houses at all?
Some of the
They were real close to the road.
yeah, really tiny front yards.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're like inches. from
usually
the
set up,
street.
Is there an existing sidewalk right there now?
Boy, I don't recall one. Just so, that's where commercial services right there too, right?
So it's right there, yeah, so it's from Kirkwood,
You just past the railroad.
yeah, it's a old Myrtle.
It's just so tight in. There's probably more space on this east side of the street.
Too far. Yeah, you're right there.
Right there.
Just up a little bit, yeah.
it's right there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Going north there, that's it.
So. It's all. Near west side. Houses that are facing their numbered streets, but then it goes up.
And north, you get the tiny ones.
Yeah, and so I guess if it just goes up to. What did it say? What go up
To
to?
11th Street.
Yeah,
So this shows it going, just over the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
Which is 8th Street, so I think that maybe the area on the map is short of what they're really talking about. And if it goes all the way to the 11th, then that goes all the way to the top of the hill.
They're just adding accessible ramps. It sounds like there may already be a sidewalk there.
Yeah,
And if they're We're talking about drains and things and not adding sidewalk.
Yeah, they said, project will include accessible curb ramps, incidental stormwater work, and other associated construction necessary to complete the sidewalk.
Sounds like it's just updating the sidewalks.
And here's.
Yeah, so the first of the shotgun houses is right there at Adams and Fountain on the east side. And all three of the shotgun houses there seem to be owned by the same property owner. Yeah, it's those the three pink dots there that are in a row. Inside, yep, those are the three shotgun houses. Yeah, like they're not, there's no mention of them demolishing any structures, right?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Um,
Then I think, yeah, if they're not demolishing any structures, then. Not too much to worry about. But yeah, we don't really have a whole lot of shotgun houses, and they're one of the only. Styles that comes up from the south.
I have not seen a sidewalk on them.
Did any of those pictures that were in the packet?
I feel like I see sidewalk on the GIS, I'm seeing sidewalk.
Your eyes are better than mine.
Says too.
That's what I remember is they're just right next to the road.
Yeah, there's no grassy anything, it's road, sidewalk, yard. I think as long as they're not disrupting any structures.
They're not taking houses down.
Yeah, I do wish something could happen for the bridge, the railroad bridge. Or railroad, bridge.
It's beat up, but it's.
Yeah. Seems like it's been getting more beat up lately than ever before. I don't recall this being an issue in the past. Either moving vans have gotten bigger or there's a lot more people renting. In properties over there that are moving vans.
Bunch of utilities going through there.
Those houses on 7th Street, West Seventh and Sixth are so tiny.
Yeah,
Just,
and they're pricey these days. So attractive.
you drive by them and you really don't get a sense, if you stop and go in one, they are small.
Yeah.
Yeah, they included a snapshot of a lot of the shard database findings in the report, so. Let's see.
Yeah, I think in the spirit of our earlier discussion about the limestone workers' houses and the other neighborhood, I think things like those shotgun houses are always worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, it's my understanding that those and a lot of those other properties are in a new
Okay, like
New
near West Side,
district.
district.
I think so.
I know they've been working on things over there, I just wasn't sure how much it covered.
Next, page 78 is another section 106 letter for 4 new bioretention ponds. This is, let's see here.
What is a bioretention pond?
It sounds like a fancy name for a drainage ditch or something.
It's a place for Canada geese to take up residence.
It's basically a stormwater infrastructure, piece of stormwater infrastructure that helps with alleviating stormwater outflows. If you have a bioretention area, it takes on a lot of that surface flow and keeps it there for a while, thereby not.
Purposely flood because of a parking lot,
actually,
nearby
it's-
parking lot or a lot of
It's
pavement
describing
nearby.
It's usually,
as a rain garden, but if they're treating it that way. That's a very respectful approach.
Yep, some rain gardens are considered bioretention. I don't know if the term pond would be synonymous with a rain garden. Usually they, I guess they do say that right here. Bioretention pond is a rain garden. Yeah.
Here it looks like there's 4 very different locations,
Mhm.
so it's not like 40 different.
By,
Two in the Waterman's Addition on the near west side, west of Adams Street, south of Fountain Drive, north of Sixth Street, another pond south of Sherwood Oaks Christian Church on Sarah Road. And the last pond between South Downs and Sheridan Drive, east of Bryant Park, just west of Karen Drive.
Oh, right there.
Up here are some of those. Very much in town now. Ponds. Alton's jurisdiction.
And they're not removing any structures for these either.
I don't believe so.
no, and these are all in densely populated areas.
Here's one. Two.
But it's probably in the right of way that they already.
Yeah.
Probably have.
Probably right next to railroad there. Ponds 3 and 4
Mhm.
off Adams.
It makes me wonder how. Get into that neighborhood. I don't see an entrance if they make a pond. About one.
They must go under, they must be planning on it being a
Culvert.
yeah.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be an outlet if that is indeed.
No. I'm sure someone else has figured this out, but it. I'm amazed that there's no solution.
It's a traffic calming device.
Stay there forever.
Yeah,
Well,
I live on Bottom Road, it's
the truth is you go over the railroad tracks, turn left and no entrance to your house. anymore. But there'll be a sidewalk.
So if it's comfortable with this board, I can reply to that one with a no comment. The one before that, I will send a letter or an email that says no comment other than confirm no structures are being disturbed.
Right.
For the sidewalk one. Next, we have. Section 106 letter. This is construction of Governor Park multifamily building. And this is located at 1730 South Walnut Street. Project scope of work involves ground disturbance and the demolition of an existing structure. Research confirms the demolished structure was not rated on the STAR database and was not located in any local, state, or federal historic district. Building was less than 40 years old and not eligible for inclusion in the National Register. And then they also included the map. Actually, didn't.
South. On the west side of road.
Sorry, I'm on the wrong one, I think.
17.
Not sure I'm in the right place.
Yes, sorry, I was in the wrong one. This is I was reading the next. This is page 84, construction of Governor Park multi.
Oh, and that's Ellisville.
And this one is located at
Oh, 5661. West State Road 46.
Why do I have 4750 North Lindsay on here? Wrong place to page 86.
page 84.
84 is a letter. Picture is 4750 North Lindsay.
Oh, this is Lindsay Hayes property, LENZY.
Yeah, all right. I know where you're at now.
I think the Lindsay is where the housing development they're building is, but they're talking about they demolished those 2 properties on 46 already. That
Yeah,
was
like it's
my
the,
understanding.
isn't it like Lindsay Hayes Insurance Agency right there?
It's kind of in front. And trailer park that's now becoming apartments is behind it a little bit.
Okay.
There's a trailer park and then there's an area that's sort of mapped out. Then there are Flatwoods.
No, but it's, there's some city parks in there, kind of close, or town parks,
Okay.
kind of close, but this is the former site of the adult, drive-in.
Chicago's Pizza is just up the road.
Days on the street.
It's before you get into Ellisville proper.
Before you come to the official, yeah, stone that says.
Yeah, because I know my dad used to make us duck when we went by.
Yes.
So that's before you get to Jack's to Feed.
Yeah, but not very far.
It's almost to the
Okay.
Tractor Supply. That helps.
Well, the truth is, I'm finding some interesting properties that have rebuilt walls with clearly what used to be stone dry stack fences in that area.
Yeah,
So I'm real curious. I would think that by now there'd be nothing left, but
well, the old 46 road bed is right there.
it's to the left.
No, exactly,
To the-
yeah, the southwest of modern 46 in most places over there, so. You see let's see, where are we?
It's right here, right? The old road bed.
No, it's actually, I think it's actually. That's another road there, I think. What is it, coming into Ellisville, you can, like, it's the parking lot of Jiffy Tree. And then it goes behind Jack's Creek Shopping Center. And then coming into town in Ellisville, it crosses back over.
It's behind.
So I think it's, right behind Jackson Creek Shopping Center, and then it comes in at a weird angle there by the Village Inn. And you see that angle, stone wall there. So yeah, it'd be interesting to know if there's any stone walls on that property.
Hart Street.
Before you get to Hart Street, but it's on Hart Street. I found the stagecoach stop there. The front of that property has, I can't tell if it's original or not, but it's not on any of our radar, so I put it out on my list. There's another spot nearby on Hart Street where it looks like reused stone. So, clearly it's not an original wall, but my guess is that whole area at one time had some.
I'll talk to you after the meeting. I'll tell you where there's remnants.
We're getting pictures. It's getting marked on them. So how do we move forward by saying, hey, if you find a whole bunch of rocks that used to be dry stack stone walls, don't dump them?
I think communicating to the consulting party or just at least have that comment.
It is an area where there are a number of dry stack stone walls and the evidence should be investigated.
Okay.
I don't know what the right language is. If that really helped when you said where.
Yeah, I don't know, yeah, I think basically Old 46 is a gravel drive that goes behind Jackson Creek Shopping Center, and then I don't know where it pops out again. But I think it does cross over there by the Village.
That used to be just went right through town, it was
Yeah.
two-way, so
Yeah.
that's when I was a kid anyway.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, I think even pre when you were a kid, there's this other 46, feel it when you're at Jiffy Tree, you look over and kind of feel that you're in the lower road bed. Then it goes behind the Bob Knight Mexican restaurant where he used to.
They actually renamed that golf course too. Because Hart Street does come in right there.
But yeah, I would say if there's a way to word it of, if they find any, stone wall or evidence of stone wall that we want.
To do follow up.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Cause yeah, I know what happens is there along Old 46, there along Old 46, there's gonna be, places that have stone walls and then, Lindsay Way, Governor Park doesn't necessarily let me. It's got too much, but that's just me looking. 5,000 feet here.
That's pretty trashy.
And is it, see, I remember 46 when it was just all temperance, but was old 46 Vine. So I feel like that Vine comes in at that angle that the other one, Camel Park Road, Park Street.
That could be.
But yeah, I was wondering if there's a way for us to reference a much older map, with. Locations with GIS, because there's the old road bed is closer to the creek and would have flooded a lot more often.
Well, and
That Vine Street does have grander houses on it than anything that's on the new.
Yeah, Canyon Temperance was
Older.
new 46, moved over to Temperance.
Yeah.
But yeah, old 46 was fine.
and Hart Street was the original stagecoach line,
Yeah.
so that we've identified.
Yeah, and I don't know with bridges over Jackson Creek and stuff, if we'd be able to find, like, if there's an old 46 bridge that goes over.
Basically, if you be alert, if you find something, let us know, right?
Find a wall, give us a call.
You gotta have our own Turner number.
Exactly.
All right, so the next one is on page 101. And this is construction of retreat at Switchyard in multifamily buildings. This one, it's located at 1730 South Walnut Street. Both scope of work involved ground disturbance and demolition of structure. This is from the Bloomington Historic Preservation Commission. So it's stated that their research confirmed that the demolished structure was not rated on the STAR database, not locally designated or nationally designated. They said that they enclosed a map, but I actually didn't receive a map for this one. But I can pull it up on Elevator.
Diabolical.
Let's see, 1730. So
I'm seeing a hole in the ground.
High school is at 1965.
Yes, I know, it's nine moves is what it is.
That's right, it's 9 moves. Just trying to.
Lawrence will entertain us.
It's the theme of the night.
It's like Kinsey runs it, it's from preservation board, it's like, now here's where we designate all the way on all the signage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And they're talking about that being a back entrance to the park, right?
building apartments there. is what it
yes,
is.
they're building apartments.
Oh, really?
There's already some.
So that area's been.
It'll be the Manors at night move.
Yeah.
It'll be-
Juju spots.
Sure, that's.
Well, like,
Sage it, I'm sure, it's fine.
yeah, don't say it.
Historical markers will be out for these locations.
Oh, yeah, what would they be shaped like?
Yes.
There was. one you never-
Dude, you're having-
Yeah.
Oh, we don't know, so that's-
Thank you. Sure, yeah.
So we have to watch next month's minute very closely to make sure that Drew didn't get any of this.
Yeah, right. So it sounds like I can respond to that with a no comment.
Tell them you want tickets to the events.
So yeah, so they're building. They're building an apartment complex, do they say how big?
They do in this letter.
Okay, just making sure. And then why was it, out of curiosity, the city of Bloomington is doing something over that far into the west, in Ellisville for the housing thing, the last one that we looked at? Because that letter was from them?
Yes, and I think that was, they are involved with getting funding
Okay,
for, I think it's supposed to be affordable housing. I
okay.
think that's why they.
So somehow the city is securing affordable housing to be happening within the county?
No, that is, this area is also, this is in Ellisville's jurisdiction, I believe.
Oh, but the city of Bloomington itself and also out on it?
I believe so.
Okay.
I don't believe Ellisville has a historic preservation. Of it.
Yeah,
And we don't have jurisdiction.
we don't.
No, we're just essentially, all with each of these section 106 letters, it's, do you have any comments? Would you like to be consulted party?
So even if we don't have jurisdiction, do we have a comment that might spark the one who does have jurisdiction to
Mhm.
act? One thing that I brought up, I'm not sure if we've discussed this here or not, but BRI recently purchased a house on Sale Street in Ellisville. And so essentially in our county right now, BRI is the only historic preservation entity in Ellisville. So they can function in Ellisville, because they don't have a. Which would also be something that we would need to discuss, going back to the discussion of if the city. Were to annex, area 4 for annexation. If Ellisville were to annex Matthews Mansion, we would have to have a conversation because they are not capable currently
Right.
of. Maintaining historic preservation status for a property. If they do not have any historic preservation entity. So that's one of the, it will come up, it's just a matter of what year will it come up, the Ellisville wants to annex where Matthews Mansion is.
It is very close.
Yeah, very close, yeah.
Well,
Somebody
then
who
they
lives in
got-
Ellisville ought to do something about that.
All that building back there.
Yeah, well, I'm amazed how far east Ellisville has officially come. Because now it is like the Starbucks is technically, I think, in the Ellisville.
Really?
section, yeah. So it's kind of spotty along 46, it's not a smooth. And line, but it used to be kind of an octopus. Ellisville would have the seasonal spikes driven out that. But yeah, so that's something for us to keep in mind in our work with that part of the county is that, you know, BRI covenants can cover things, but Ellisville does not have anything to connect.
Thank you, Drew.
Yep.
Everyone, I have some new business. And Drew, if you will help me at certain points, because you're the official planner. Our company, as well as some other businesses along 46, Highway 46, as you're going, excuse me, Arlington Road, what I'm wanting to say. It used to be called 46, now it's Arlington Road. Received these wonderful letters, and I'm very, very grateful to the planning department if you all were the ones who sent these out. This has to do with PUO -23-2, and that would be the Planned Unit Development Ordinance 23-2, and PUD, the Planned Unit Development 23-2. And again, this is section 19 and 30, and the official address is 3050 West Hunter Valley Road. And this is Monroe County Redevelopment Commission and Kreider. And they are requesting an amendment for this PDU. Actually, if I understand it correctly, all my paperwork here, that they've already had a plan committee meeting, and then tomorrow night, on March 21st, yes, at 5:30, there will be comments from the public will be welcome. And the reason why I'm here tonight is twofold. One, I plan to either attend by Zoom or in person because of being a member of the Indiana limestone industry, not a company, but the industry. And two, I'm bringing it up tonight to all of you as the Monroe County Historic Commission. And I have absolutely no problem with the PDU and all, except for one thing. And that's why I'm bringing it up tonight. The petitioner has applied for a road change. And they want to retire the Hunter Valley Road name and exchange it for an extension of Curry Pike. And Curry Pike, traditionally GE, Westinghouse, to give you all a little bit of a baseline. And then, and again, Drew, if I'm saying something incorrectly, jump in, because you're the planner and you can help me. That once they jump over the new 46, as it, it's going into Ellisville, and then this new area, which is to be called North Park, would be, that road would, again, Hunter Valley Road would be retired, and then it would just be the extension of Curry Pike.
Doesn't Curry Pike T at 46? Just run into it?
Yes, mhm.
Doesn't
It
continue
stops.
on?
No,
Yeah.
but they're wanting it, once it jumps the highway, the 40,
Down the roadways, is that where that is?
well, it would jump across.
Like it's already paved, it's not active roadway.
Yeah, there's a big pile of dirt there.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason why I bring this up tonight, from a very, very historical standpoint, is Hunter Valley has been known for over 100 years as Hunter Valley, the whole area. Not just because of, Hunter Valley Road as it is today. Hunter Valley was a very, very active.
There were
area.
a lot of stone quarries there.
Oh, my, yes,
Right,
yes,
there's tons of them.
and, very active area. And lots and lots of stone has been extracted from that area. It still butts up to BG Hoadley's, and
That's
BG.
where I've read it in the Hoadley reports. They mentioned that.
Mhm, mhm. But anyway, Hunter Valley is a area that it's been known as Hunter Valley for, since I would say the 1860s, 1870s. Morton Hunter, who was a resident of Monroe County, and his brother, matter of fact, Morton Hunter was a Civil War hero officer. The Hunter brothers started quarrying in the area very, very successfully. And the Monroe County commissioners in the last year or two they purchased quite a bit of property in this area. I know that when writing support letters for this park, proposed park, that we were calling it Uplands, but I had explained to various people that, how important the Hunter Valley moniker was and how I would like that to be preserved at some point.
Who wants to change it?
The petitioner. So that would
Say
be.
who that is.
That would be the Monroe County Redevelopment Commission / Kreider and Kreider. The petitioner has applied for a road name change to retire West Hunter Valley Road. And there's no East Hunter Valley, so that's why I was saying Hunter Valley Road in exchange for an extension of North Curry Pike.
Can I
Now,
ask a quick question?
Yeah.
So I assume from the map we're looking at and future looking, that the plan is that the road will connect. It's not currently connected, but the plan is for it to connect.
with stoplights.
Okay,
With stoplights, it will not continue Unless, you'd have to stop at the stoplights unless you'd have a green light. That's the only way you
Yeah.
can continue.
So one thing I want to point out in my advocacy for the name importance is that North Curry Pike approaching from where it splits off at Woodyard, right? Is barely heading north at that point in time, and originally used to be the Smith Pike
Exactly.
thing. So that's not even historically longstanding Curry Pike. There's no major attachment historically to the Curry Pike name geographically for that area at all.
Thank you.
And so when you have then an east-west roadway going from 46 over to Old 46 to Arlington Road, that truly is a west roadway, much more so than it's a north roadway. So even it being North Curry Pike is deceiving name-wise. So I just want to throw that in there on top of this.
I think that area may have all been put in when they put the bypass through there.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Sorry, who was Curry?
Curry's another family, like the Curry, Cardiac family, and they're another historic Monroe County family, but I think
They were further south.
they were further south. They were more, and I think even like Noel Curry was related. So they're another significant Monroe County family, but this naming of this extension of Curry Pike is really more about we gotta name the road something, more so than we've got to name the road after this historic family that's lived here forever. So
And I must add this is terribly important. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. It's very important that I add that, again, historically, I remember seeing in the newspaper recently that someone was saying that to move forward in Monroe County and Bloomington, that we need to not think about traditions so much or nostalgia, but I beg to differ. And here's the reason why. In the limestone industry, you have Hunter Valley. That's an area. It's not just one quarry. It's an area. You have Maple Hill. You have Sanders, not the town Sanders, but that area, Sanders, in the limestone industry. All of this means something. You have Dark Hollow. You have Eureka. You have PMB. That's short for Perry Matthews Busker. You have Peerless. You have Independent. You have Shawnee. You have Kelly. You have Victor Olytic. And there's also, not sliding, you have the Ellisville area as limestone, and you have Steinsville. All the names that I just mentioned mean so much to people throughout the United States, as well as the industry. And if you will allow me to continue on for a few seconds, let me give you an example. The last couple of years, the city fathers of Chicago and the owners of Tribune Tower, you've probably heard or visited Tribune Tower. That was constructed a long time ago, and it was clad with beautiful limestone from this area, as well as lots of carving and cutting, besides just the cladding. And the people, they come to the Indiana limestone area and they say, okay, we have to restore this building. So sure enough, when they research all their paperwork and they're looking at Hunter Valley, Maple Hill, Sanders, Dark Hollow, PMB, all these names that I mentioned to you, these areas tell them.
So they got their stuff, right?
Exactly. And so someone could counter me right now and say, well, Debbie, there's not that much stone being quarried out of Hunter Valley now. Well, there is stone still available, and plus BG Hoadley's is going strong. But even more than that, these are indicators to these people who are dealing with these major restoration efforts. Even if they can't get stone in Hunter Valley at that given point, who can they match it with? Okay, so if they know Hunter Valley, in the industry, we know different areas of stone that matches closely to it. For instance, if you allow me, Independent and Reed, that's well known that you can put those different that stone together, and it, for the most part, it's going to look like the same building. So it's not just nostalgia. It's not just tradition. It's for people outside of Indiana, all over the United States, Canada. These people who have bought stone the last 100, 200 years in this area, these are indicators. To lose Hunter Valley, the name of the road, we've lost, as far as I'm concerned, you know, a major part of that recognition and knowledge. So I do know that the meeting is tomorrow night at 5:30. Let's see, the Judge Natu Hill room, 100 West Kirkwood Avenue, and it's also available by Zoom. I would appreciate the board taking my comments into account, and to have support, to have a letter would be wonderful. So throw it out.
Holly has something to say, I think. See her yellow hand raised.
Debbie, I'm so glad you brought this up. I am teaching tomorrow night, so I'm not able to go to the meeting, but I am 100% in support of keeping the Hunter Valley name. If you all are not real well versed in the quarry districts, Clay Stuckey's reference guide, which is on the Monroe County HP Board's website, in the references there, is a really good guide to that. There's only six major districts in Monroe County, and Hunter Valley is one of them. It's still something we actively talked about. I just had a service request from a public person last week on Wednesday, and I mentioned Hunter Valley as a quarry district. So people are still actively inquiring about that, and I would say it would be a huge disservice to that limestone park that they're planning on if they got rid of that Hunter Valley name. That's a big part of their history, and that's the whole point of preserving that area as a park, is to talk about that history.
Thank you.
I'd be happy to
Is
help
there
with the letter.
something that we can send as a unified board to this meeting?
Yes, that's done.
Well, I echo what Holly was saying, but all of this aside, well, I want to come back to what Devin said. Curry Pike is north-south. Curry Pike has been renamed as this artery to get over to the new bypass. And by no means is it Curry Pike that went north and south. So Curry Pike ended there at Vernal, and Smith took off. So it's not even geographically going where Curry Pike went.
We have enough confusion with Maple Grove going north and south and east and west the way it is now in that area. We don't need Curry Pike going in three directions.
I'm 100% in favor of saying, don't change it. There's too much, the limestone industry, plus the historic value of the language of the.
I even advocate for recalling it Hunter Valley all the way across.
All the way to
46.
46.
Yeah.
The county has come to us before when they have told us they had to change the name of a road. And the priority is to name it something historical. In other words,
Really?
a theoretical situation would be who owned property in this situation. So the idea is that we honor the history of the place versus something like Pet Smart Way or Coles Drive. So I would say if that's the precedent for renaming something, we should rename it. But it's more appropriately historical here, which is Hunter, not Curry. Curry is historical, but in the wrong place for this area.
Coming back is really good, to come back and say, not only don't change it, but you need to take that all the way to 46.
I don't think there are any businesses or homes on it right now, so it's not like people would have to change North Curry to West Hunter. They change all.
There now, Don, it has the address of Hunter Valley. They didn't have.
Yeah, I think in building, you know, when they built Curry Pike out there and that new stretch. They knew that it was going to align with Hunter Valley Road. That's clearly not a mistake. That's clearly by design. I think the fact is with West Hunter Valley Road and it goes east-west. Then on top of that, I know the concern in the address committee, and unless this has changed. They're always concerned about replication of names across the county. And you get something like Hunter Valley is an old enough name that it should be able to stand on its own without being considered a threat to Hunter Street in Bloomington or Union Valley in Ellisville, because they're concerned about primary words. If that's the case, then Curry Pike is already long enough as Curry Pike. We don't need Curry Pike going, you know, all the way across the county in two different directions.
Because it really is moving from a north-south to an east-west route there.
So I think, you know, I think in that regard, and in honoring the fact that this is a limestone district. And this is even one of those that was considered with I-69 construction to be able to designate as a historic landscape district.
Yes.
That Hunter Valley is what the name is known as, not only within our community, but outside of our community, that if somebody who owns a giant building in Detroit came to Bloomington and they want to see Hunter Valley, we don't want it to be that 20 years from now, somebody goes, oh, I don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah, what's Hunter Valley? We've never heard that name before. So I think it's very important to keep that name, and I agree, take it all the way to the light at 46. And I see the homage of the Stone Branch Drive, you know, but that's not enough for history purposes. So I think if there's any of the counter arguments as far as name replication or whatever, I mean, Hunter Valley Road has been around for a long time, and it's an extension, much like we argued for Wayport Road as the frontage road name with I-69 and things like that. It was just really an extension of that existing.
So Drew, can you work up something, and
Yeah, so I can,
who would need
Polly.
to sign it? Polly?
yeah, so basically it would be, Polly would be the primary author.
She can electronically sign it and get it to Debbie.
Yeah, and I could even, if it gets submitted to staff, if Polly submits it to me, I can give it to the planner. I think it's Ann Christelius, yeah. And she can present it as part of the staff presentation that they've received a letter from the
And then
HP
Debbie
board
can be.
stating that they would prefer or strongly recommend that
Yeah.
Hunter Valley.
And railroad road wise, there was a Hunter Valley switch, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, even in our railroad history,
Yeah.
it's Hunter Valley, so
Right.
I think it's important to, especially as we're doing all these rail trails everywhere.
Mhm.
You know, if we're gonna acknowledge that the railroad existed in this area, that which is just maybe a matter of time before one of these areas gets to a rail trail. That, you know, it was Hunter Valley switch, so.
Is there consensus that we want to kick back and say not only don't change it, but take it all the way to 46?
Yeah.
Get rid of the Curry Pike thing because it doesn't belong.
I like that idea.
Do we all agree with that?
Like, if I saw 25 houses on Curry Pike, I'd go, yeah, we're gonna get kicked back for that, but there's not, I mean,
Nobody there.
nobody has that address north of, or northwest of, or northeast, sorry, of 6 as a Curry Pike address, right?
So as a former addressing coordinator for the county, from an addressing protocol perspective, as much as possible, they try to eliminate road name changes where you're crossing a road, but then you're still,
Really?
well, you, all of a sudden you're on a different road.
Right.
But there's also the, you know, a protocol piece that talks about, you know, not really keeping a road north if it's all of a sudden now going a completely
Different direction.
you know, different direction. So there's good discussion about that there. From my experience with the addressing task force, which is a group of individuals from the fire departments, the 911, and all that, and City of Bloomington, you know, they would likely first look at, well, do we have to change many addresses? And the answer would be no. And would it further cause confusion? And I don't believe that they would say that.
Clarify.
So too.
And I think, you know, one extra piece that fits with that idea of extending West Hunter Valley Road's name to the intersection of 46 is that it is such a large intersection that it's such a break in the path that
Yes,
it
it
could be.
You can't turn left on red, so I mean,
Right,
Yeah, when you got kids or bikes split off like that.
it does.
If I may add, again, the petitioner applied for the road name change. And then they asked for comments. And I think this was coming out of the plan review committee. Asked for comments from the highway department about retiring Hunter Valley. And with great respect to the highway department, and I mean that sincerely. They stated that they would support retiring the name West Hunter Valley and in favor of extending it to North Curry. But again, great respect to all those individuals in highway. I don't really think that they had all this background of what we're talking about tonight.
did they say why they felt that way?
No, it's just.
It's going well.
If I may, yeah, if I may, since this is going to the plan commission meeting tomorrow, it went to the plan review committee, which I believe is the report you're referencing, and then it
Yeah.
also went to the plan commission administrative meeting. And I believe it was at the administrative meeting that they talked about the road name change, and those updates are reflected in the most recent report. There was discussion during that time at the plan commission admin meeting that there was some concern that Hunter Valley may be historically significant,
Oh,
but no one knew.
yeah.
There was no further discussion. It was, maybe we should think about that.
Well, we're gonna have an expert there at the meeting, so that'll.
Well, again, the meeting's tomorrow night at 5:30. So if we would have a letter,
Letter of support, yeah.
yeah.
Well, I make a motion that we have Drew draft a letter, get with Polly's signature, and get it into the hands of the staffer before the meeting.
Second. Somebody third it.
All right, so we have a motion and a second.
I'll
to-
ask that if you have specific language that you want in there, just send me that in an email and I can incorporate it into the draft and then I'll send that out to everybody.
Debbie, throw her some language that you gave us tonight.
Yeah, I've been taking notes, but
Highlights.
yeah.
Highlights.
Okay. And Don's idea, if you would want to, I think that's great, the extending it to, that verbiage, if you would shoot it to. Yeah, and what you said too, that would be super. Anybody and everyone that.
Bullet points like that.
Bullet points, if you would, everyone here, I would be very grateful. Again, I would like to finish with this. First of all, thank you, because this is terribly important to me. And it has nothing to do with business. It has everything to do with, again, all these areas that I mentioned to you. And again, when calls come in, the Pentagon, when it was attacked, you see why this is so important.
Yeah.
Will Bybee and his group, they're calling, trying to match the stone, et cetera, et cetera. So here we're in the restoration business, if you will, but then we would just be throwing this to the wind. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing it to us.
Well, thank you.
Otherwise, we wouldn't.
You make a good case.
Pardon?
You make a good case. It wasn't hard to say, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as Drew said, they didn't have the information
Yeah.
that you're putting into.
And I think that is important, and you're, one of the most sincere people I know, that you do mean it with all respect that, the highway department's not out to get anybody.
No.
It's just, they don't have the same set of information that, another group may have, so I think it's important to keep that in mind, that we just have some different information that we're able to come forth with, or even ask some questions you might not know otherwise. Another new item that is just for our radar, and Drew, you may have heard or seen of this. A friend of mine fell down a rabbit hole into future road work projects. One of which was an on-ramp for Arlington Road from 45-46 bypass.
Again?
And this is a new thing posted to Arlington Elementary School. Over down to your lower right.
I heard something about that.
So they're in front of the motels.
Grove Street, all
That-
that.
Yeah, essentially what it would do is it would be an on-ramp up to Arlington Road from Stone Lake Drive, basically, that area. And it would impact just the one yellow bungalow there at the corner of the bypass and Arlington Road. But again, we're getting into historic limestone neighborhood, because I know that's our Chandlersville area, right? So just keeping an eye on that. I don't know, Drew, have you seen anything about that proposal?
I've not.
Okay, so I don't know if it's years down the road.
I heard something about it. I just can't.
Okay, so yeah, so anyway, so I have the thing that's from structure point, it's the things, I don't know if we can get on as a consultant party about that. But essentially what they're doing is they want to do some Michigan jump turns, as they're called, on the bypass. So people coming and going from the hotels and the old AIT building and Stone Lake and stuff can get in and out easier. And then do a U-turn to go the opposite way, but then also get traffic from the bypass up onto Arlington Road, which is the project they should have done 30 years ago. But to get traffic up from the bypass onto Arlington Road directly. And then use Corley Pike as the kind of down ramp to get people back on the bypass. So essentially it's sort of a little interstate light cheat to get people on and off the bypass from Arlington Road.
Sort of an access road glorified.
I would like to add something. I remember a year or so ago, before Larry Wilson retired from the plan department. It was a meeting that I was sitting in, and he had asked about areas in Monroe County where there is still stone. We were talking about the stone reserves, et cetera. And something that I would like to put on record, and everyone in this room to hear, and again, to remember, this area that you see highlighted in blue and a little bit to the east of it, that was owned, a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it was owned by B.G. Hoadley before the 46 bypass was installed, developed, and much to B.G. Hoadley's dismay, Patsy Bell, who is 89, she's the owner, or one of the owners. There's a lot of good stone under there, a lot of good stone. And so you might think to yourself, well, that stone will never be quarried. Well, you know how everything changes? You know, everything changes. We think this is going to stay there forever, or that. Someone record this, remember that there's a lot of good stone. I don't mean average, good stone. So if someday that you need stone for restoration of the Biltmore, or the Washington Cathedral or something, and they decide to take out that highway. Now, I don't know the depth, but I could just give you an approximate. It could be anywhere 40, 60 feet deep.
Okay. So yeah, some structure point with INDOT who's done that proposal, and it was June 7th, 2022. It looks like they did this rendering. But essentially they would rework that Stone Lake Drive entrance and exit and do little jump turns and then create a ramp up to Arlington Road.
Is there any number?
Let me see, I don't, what I'll do is I'll,
If you forward it to me.
yeah, I'll forward it to you and then maybe see if I can find out the bigger page. Oh, it does have design number, hold on. And you said you had seen something of this before.
We received paperwork on it,
Yeah,
and I may not be able to do it tomorrow, but I could go through our files and see what I have, and I'd be glad to make copies for everyone.
It's Structure Point and it's State Road 4546 Access Improvement Project. And it's design number 1700198. Okay. But I'll also forward it to this.
Debbie, when you say you've heard of it before, do you mean in this
Paperwork.
setting?
Paperwork, no, not in this setting.
Okay,
No, we received paperwork. And if I can't remember exactly who was from, but they were just notifying, if you will, the businesses, the neighbors, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't think it didn't come from Monroe County. I want to think it was state of Indiana perhaps. But
I know I've heard of it and that it's likely been either the HT or the Bloomington web pages, Facebook pages, that I don't remember where it came from, but I remember hearing about it.
I'll look up the paperwork.
Kind of surprising me because it seems like that would have been a project in lieu of the extension of the 46. It's like, oh, that would have been an easy solution instead of that weird merge on the 37, instantly get in the left lane, turn left to get on the, there by Westbury Village. So that was that one new business item. The other new business item that I have is that recently the very old, and I mean this by age of congregation, not age of individuals, the very old congregation of Simpson Chapel United Methodist Church has deeded the property to Washington Township. So Simpson Chapel is now property of Washington Township for use as a community center. The church will still be using it. But several people on the township board were under the impression that the church was protected. I assured them that it was not, because that would have been a discussion I would have known about at some point in time. But one of the things I want to make sure to provide them with is the benefits of protection from the county, especially when it comes to maybe longer term projects and when they get back into a position where they want to do things like replace the bad replacement windows with better replacement windows.
Qualifying for grant?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, and kind of the adaptive reuse and things like that. So that's something that I'm gonna work on providing them with over the coming months, so they can make surprise choices with use and preservation of the building. And that is with the congregation, one of their main functions in that handover is for the building to go on as being used and to be protected. Because it's our fourth Simpson Chapel. We haven't had a whole lot of luck over the decades with buildings.
I'm curious, how close is that to this little tall tower that they want to build?
What is, where was that tower location?
It's right, right by the school.
Yeah.
Isn't that just slightly north of that?
Yeah, perhaps go right across the street from Simpson Chapel. So yeah, where was it they wanted to do that tower?
Is that the
Close to
window?
energy property, but it wasn't.
yeah, it was here.
Yeah,
Where is that? I've never seen that before. That's beautiful though.
Well, it says it's the Simpson Chapel,
I wonder if that's their, like, is a,
505 Simpson's Hat, isn't it beautiful? Look at that thing.
that's, yeah.
Yeah. What, somebody getting red or something?
Well, it's in the building he's talking about helping them protect.
Yeah, sure, I've never.
Yeah, that the ops tower was, I think it was technically on this property, but yeah, but right next to.
So, yeah,
I thought it was pretty close.
so yeah, that's,
And that's near where the old school was too,
yeah,
right?
that's cool.
Browns.
Mhm.
Our very well preserved mid-century modern school building. It's just not.
I did have one new business item too that came in. I got this via snail mail. And it took a while to get to me.
How quaint.
But it is a letter from the DNR. It came through, I think it got sent to the wrong, it went to the commissioner's office where it sat, and then it got into Tammy's box now. And then it finally got to me, who's the new historic preservationist.
4 months later.
Yeah, but this is a letter from the DNR stating that the Steinsville Historic District is going on the National Register. of Historic Places.
Wonderful.
So there's some good news there,
Yeah.
but we missed the meeting, they were gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
It's good news, so.
Very good. And so, just to clarify, because it always seems to go back and forth. Do we or do we not have actual jurisdiction over Steinsville when it comes to historic preservation?
That's a good question.
Because I've heard it both ways, and it was about 10 years ago that we very clearly did, and about 3 years ago that it was kind of murky.
Yes, my understanding is that they're in an interlocal agreement when it comes to the terms of zoning, but I don't know if that extends into historic preservation. I know that Tammy's at least mentioned the confusion to me, so I don't have any direct.
Should be great for a mockumentary, but
Should ask me if I want to be.
yeah, well, we know the answer to that. You want to be part of a government thing. No, we're in Steinsville. Well, I know one of the things, and I'm glad to see that this went through, because this was kind of a background thing that was part of the agreement if they got the bridge funding for the new bridge.
Right, I remember.
Now, I mean, not as new, but it's still the new bridge. And it'll be the new bridge for the next 80 years. So I'm glad to see this, that they have the National Register designation. This is an aside for those of you who don't know. BRI owns several properties in Steinsville, and BRI is the 4-letter word in Steinsville. Because they off the record, they just often see us as like owning things that are junky that we haven't torn down. But hopefully we'll turn that around. There are 2 newer houses in Steinsville that were built by BRI that nobody complains about. So.
I have to add a little tidbit real fast about Steinsville and this National Registry, how exciting. I love this. The first limestone quarry in the belt being Owen County, Monroe County, and Lawrence County was 1827 in Steinsville. Monroe County was first, not Owen, not Lawrence, go Monroe. Yeah. And it was in Steinsville.
And I think that she would not mind if I shared with you something that, since we're talking about historic properties. Danielle and I have been working on the stone wall project a little bit, and she said that the STIP vendor nomination has finally passed substantive review.
Oh.
So it'll go to the review board in April. That's a huge step forward. That's good.
Okay. All right. Back to the standing agenda. And we are on the work plan. So any updates to the work plan? I have one update. I have a meeting scheduled with Wendy to discuss the Limestone Heritage website. Today. And I will report back on what we discussed.
And you need to update the under 4 public historic preservation education. The Limestone Festival event will be the 17th of June, not the 10th. Correct, Holly?
Yes, that's correct, 17.
That's item 4.
You'll be in Japan.
I will be in Japan, sadly.
You can help me
I'll
to
just
set up.
have to enjoy the local stone of Japan.
We're going in September this year.
Oh, very good. Maybe I'll need to like leave some sort of marking somewhere that we can go interpret. But I want to make sure to ask Susan for the presentation of the history club. What sort of assistance or moral support or additional anything do you want or need for that endeavor?
Everyone has been very helpful in getting me. I'm just trying to get historic background. I can't locate a lot of documents that have been used in historic nominations, they've disappeared. Folklore can't find them, but I've got people on different campuses helping. I've got individuals helping, and I have a photographer who is out. She just got permission from the landowners to get all of the fences down on the Callum property down the south side, past Cedar Bluff. So we're photographing where things are now, so we know what they look like, and finding new places where there may have been walls because there's obvious reuse of stuff. So I think at that point, Duncan has agreed to make sure and Polly and I were out climbing hills last week, looking at the different layers. I have big chunks of stone, and we borrowed a couple of stones off a couple of walls. So we have some, and Drew is working on maps and getting those laminated. So the idea is that it'll be a short history lesson and end up being this is the history of it, of what we know. I've identified people and dates and places that's available through that documentation. So I'm going to put together that
Is the
presentation.
missing folklore stuff, is it all like Warren Roberts?
It was Robert's papers are missing, and his student papers are missing. I have one or two monographs, but not what I'm after. And there's a couple things the History Museum should have that they say they don't have, so.
I will, this week sometime, I will reach out to Henry Glassy because I know he was involved somewhere in that.
Oh, that would be
process.
great. Both the historian and the archivist have not been successful in finding them.
Okay. Because I don't know if he personally has copies of them at home, like,
That
that's
would be-
a possibility.
Does he have boards and boxes in his basement?
He does not have a basement, but he has floor to ceiling, wall to wall bookshelves.
Okay.
So that kind of person. So there's a good chance that or he might know secretly who has something where or when.
Well, reach out, please. But Danielle's been helping a lot with that, and I think it'll be a nice piece. It'll give us a starting point to decide, do we want to reach out to actually find funding to have a professional inventory done, which I think was the vision at some point. But I wanted to have a baseline today, 2023, of what we know we have, and then ask this group to let us, the history group, to let us know what's out there that we don't know about. And I'm not worried about county lines and city lines, because for most people, those are very obscure missions. I mean, where does the Ellisville start in Bloomington? And I don't really care. But they'll have a chance to mark where they know there are walls, and we'll either find some new leads or just reconfirm what we already have. But it's an involvement thing, an awareness thing. So I'm very hopeful. I think that's looking at
Thank you, Susan and Danielle. Thank you both.
I'm keeping her on her toes, particularly on the dating, and we have a couple of theories we're working on, so. But thanks for letting me go on with that. Is there anything else we need to cover on that, on our project list here?
We could cross off the honor.
Yeah, cross off.
Cross off the what?
Property owners.
Oh, I thought that was already crossed off.
I made the changes, but I don't know the actual process of mailing them other than.
Oh,
okay.
Normal.
So that's what you're saying.
Property.
Once they've gone out, they get crossed out.
That'll be.
It's like the first thing you do on the list is take a list and talk about the letter.
And I know there's some old business, it's Polly's business that we didn't discuss. We have a pending grant for a workshop, yes?
Yes, the grant has been submitted for the teachers workshop. We should hear back by April 14th, I believe. So I will email you all as soon as I hear.
Hey, thank you, Polly. That's good.
Can you drive without pen?
Okay, does anyone else have any other work plan updates? All right.
I don't think there's any other business.
Oh, there's not.
Thank you all. We can call the meeting to close.
Okay. Very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Good
Second, if
talking
you
to you
need it.
all.
All right, Polly, I'll be in touch with you about the letter regarding Hunter Valley.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Good luck tomorrow. I have a meeting
Bye.
elsewhere.